You guys, this is a post-edit note, and I would like to say if you have um, a glass of wine or a drug of choice handy, not condoning hard, absurd actions tonight, but it might help you feel better about unraveling with me into this episode because it does deal with some deep dark things and it addresses some grander fears, and we're gonna just deep dive on humanity tonight. So I sincerely hope that you keep on watching. I would like to reiterate how thrilled I am to be here at the point where I have over 1,000 views collectively on my channel. I am so honored for each and every view and like and any share and any comment, any positive comment. I haven't been the receiver of many, but I know that it's just a matter of time. I'm sure some will occasion themselves whenever they materialize. But I am so happy to have this opportunity to be here and be my authentic self in this little corner of the internet, because I think everyone being the most authentic self that they're capable of is so monumentally important, always, and especially right now. So thank you, and I hope you enjoy. I think what we're all fighting with, based on, I make that statement based on what I've experienced, what other members of my household are experiencing, and what a lot of my friends are dealing with right now, is that we all feel so small because we are so accustomed to feeling safety in numbers and groups of people physically. And I swear it's gonna make sense in a minute. It's just that once you remove yourself from your day-to-day core group of people, whether you like your coworkers or not, whether you love every member of your family or not, you can usually band together physically and really limiting yourself, limiting the pool of people that you're capable of dealing with for 8 months. This is not a short-lived thing. This is a permanent chapter of, oh, excuse me, not a permanent chapter, but this will be permanent in our memories of 2020. This isn't that weird, like, 4 weeks or weird 14-day quarantine where you isolated for like a hot minute and continued forward. Like, this is our year. This is not the year any of us are planning on. This is not the, I had the January I signed up for. I had a February and a half, but honestly, like, everything at the beginning of this year was wonderful for me, and to say, like, it doesn't even feel, it feels so divorced from what I'm currently going through. I, started New Year strong, had my birthday in January, at the risk of how entitled this is all going to sound, entitled, because I haven't lost someone to COVID, and I'm sure everybody who's been in that situation or knows somebody who knows somebody. I am taking every precaution that I'm capable of. I, up until very recently, was only doing Instacart and was only, going out for true necessities. And I can't thank all of those workers who were, doing Instacart and doing grocery delivery, food delivery, prepared food delivery, and are continuing to do so. I think, they really do make the world go round, and it shouldn't have taken a pandemic for people to appreciate them or appreciate that fact. But I just think, like, I'm a believer in taking the good things with the bad things. I hope it's gonna take a while to unfold and to unearth itself, but I'm so hopeful that people don't lose sight of the positive things that have happened this year. There are positive things that happened this year. I, you know, I I saw 2 movies this year, and I went to one for my birthday, and I went to a drive-in, during this drive-in theaters kind of gotta come back. I have a friend who's purchased a house, and she is living her best life. She's moving from a chiropractic office she was with for years and opening up shop, in her home to help make sure sanitary precautions are taken with, you know, the right documentation and everything else. She wanted a home office for forever, and there, she basically took it upon herself and said there's no time like the present, and opened her business in her house this year. It's a house that she bought. And I'm so proud of her. I mourn all of the moments that have been lost to I I don't want this year to be only attributed to bad things, and there are so many, but we can't give up, and there needs to be a fight. You can't just attribute it up to 2020, like, just wait around for 2021, because maybe the virus doesn't have a freaking expiration date. Like, this is, if it's not dealt with appropriately, I think appreciating what is going on that is positive and trying to reach out to those we are able to and give voices to ourselves and other people when we're able to is crucial. Because staying silent and alone and just not reaching out is the end of everything. For anyone who experienced what I went through this year, any women watching this that had to make a remarkably difficult decision about their body during a pandemic, which is the last time anybody wants to be forced into that corner, I'm here for you, and I'm willing to listen, and I mean that, because there's so many types of things that people go through and can't speak up or speak on or stand up against because of their fear of how the backlash or the ramifications or how their words are going to be misconstrued. Part of why I feel like I'm able to say half of these things today is because I'm accustomed to having my words misconstrued. I picked Technicolor Kaleidoscope for a lot of reasons, and I won't get into each of those tonight, but it just helps have a frame of reference for when I feel so alien because I don't identify with people who shut down. I understand because I've been the person who shuts down, but it's so negatively impacted that chapter of my life. It just compounded and compounded all of the stress that I was denying and delaying, all blew up, and I dealt with the emotions I wasn't able to face with trying to just, deal with them with alcohol or deal with them with, one way or the other, or trying to just stay awake and stay out of, those spaces where like I would lay down at night and have all of the feelings from the day like a delayed impact me. So it got to the point where like laying down in bed felt like a train running over me. And I'm so tired of feeling like I want to talk about things that have been difficult because I've been through so many of the difficult decisions in my life completely alone. And I'm interested in speaking up and using my platform because it's a voice that I'm capable of having. I'm not interested in becoming some sort of internet sensation. Like, if I woke up tomorrow and that was the case, like, of course I would be happy, but my goal is to be me and to not let this pandemic take me out with it. I have worked too hard and too long on myself in building who I am and helping to lend a hand to others. And in the process of all of that, I finally learned to help myself. I found a balance. I've figured out what works for me. And I'm not going to sit here and say that it will work for everyone, but I sit here confidently in my metal tin can that I've allowed myself to have as a me space. And I feel empowered, and I feel like I finally have the amount of self-respect and self-love that I wish I had had the capability or the roadmap for. Like, you can't find something like that until you know it exists, and then once you are aware it exists, how to get there. And sometimes it just stumbles into yourself, and you have to do a lot of very hard work. And it starts with what and why and how, and accepting no subpar answers. So just if you feel lost or alone, I hope that you are able to reach out to someone in your life, or to pick up a hotline, or to allow yourself space to just have, a small amount of joy, and maybe put a pin in your emotions for a short while and accept that you really need a cup of tea, or you've forgotten to eat, or something small and your brain's been going a mile a minute, because I know for a fact that that is the person I was. And if I ever get back to the point where I'm missing 2 to 3 meals a day, intentionally or otherwise, to just power through and being petrified I'm not gonna get the allotted amount of work done, anytime I ever put a company over my own well-being, is I will never do that again. Never. I spent, time with a dear friend in Rhode Island and some family, and I can't help but think about all the trips that I kept putting off. I was gonna go visit my sister in Florida before all this happened. There's no way I'm going anywhere near Florida. For a year or so, until everything calms down, and it's not as if everyone is laid off, because there are places reopening. There are places that are trying to reestablish. I've seen a myriad of different businesses at this point. Now, currently, moving on and living in the new normal, and to still feel, through no fault of anyone's, it's just a matter of the way things are, I am not among the populace. And I should, maybe revel in that. I just tire so much of, I think I've made every recipe in every cookbook I have at this point. I've been being Julia Child and bringing food, prepared food to relatives, and giving things, bringing food to my friends, and, socially distancing whenever possible and leaving it on their doorsteps. And basically, it just really, I am not by any stretch, I enjoy being an introvert when I choose to. I do not enjoy being an introvert. It is not my current preferred state of being. It is not ever my preferred state of being. And I know how privileged and whatever this is gonna sound, but my soul wants to go and dance at a freaking club and have a drink at a bar. Like, do you have any idea how many more invitations I would have accepted to go out prior to, like, I feel like 2020 was, the beginning of 2020 was legitimately on so very much of the right trajectory. And I look at myself now and I'm looking for the woman who, you know, I was happy. I was going to the gym so much more. I was going to the gym for starters. Like, I've been going for walks and jogs and runs and whatever, but like hikes and self-directed activities just aren't it for me. Like, I need I'll get to that later. That's not the point I wanted to make off the bat. And frankly, I don't enjoy the idea that, you know, it shouldn't tear me up so badly that I'm stagnant at a size 6 or 8 jean right now. Like, that's not the end of the world. Looking at me from 5 years ago, when I was eating my feelings, I was size 14 in pants. So I'm not going to let myself feel bad for living at a size 8 for a while and, you know, making my way through the pandemic a little bit squishier. Like, I kept myself and my family alive, and I know that I've been as healthy as I'm capable of without, you know, I saw this meme. It was some Instagram post that was like, "Oh, I think I'm gonna go to jail to really focus on my fitness properly," which is just, it was so laughable for all the wrong reasons. Like, everybody thinks, "Oh yeah, like I'm gonna have all this extra time and I'm gonna, you know, whatever, work out more and all these different things." And even if you do, like, sorry, I'm losing my original train of thought. I'm doing what I'm capable of. I'm eating the right way. I dearly, dearly miss that sense of community at my former gym. But I just can't, you know, I'm not a single woman. Like, I can't run around being like, "Oh yeah, there's whatever, if I get sick, I'll die." Like, that is not an option. And I just feel like nothing is an option right now. I feel trapped. I feel like a lot of people feel trapped. Like, trying to stay in contact with an employer, continue to grow, and try and not go totally off the wall. And also, if you have children at home of any size, like, you have to keep them upright and figured out and, you know, basic household functions on top of homeschooling and on top of, like, everything else in the world. I never, ever in a million years anticipated that this would be a part of my life. I never wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I never, ever, ever wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. It's just, I was always raised to have a job and, you know, go to work and grow career-wise and put my best self forward every day. Like, more than half of my closet is work clothes. Like, before this, I was a person with like 4 pairs of leggings, and you know, I bought $100 worth of workout stuff for myself during quarantine. I've bought, you know, Nike shoes and running shorts and sports tank tops, several pairs of things from ThredUp, and I don't know what I would be wearing if I hadn't bought those things, because those have been vital. Like, I go out on the Fairhaven bike path, I go out, you know, hiking on all kinds of different trails, and like, it's not even just a matter of like, oh, who's gonna see me at this point. It's, I'm, you know, getting up, putting on a fresh outfit, and starting my day with a routine. It's not the routine I did for years and years. It's not getting up and complaining about traffic. It's not getting up and wondering how late I'm gonna be asked to stay at work that day, or it's not, you know, getting trapped in front of working on an Excel grid that you hate during, you know, doing information that you don't care about. Poetry has become my way of handling the harder elements of what's going on at this point in my life, in the life of everyone. I don't know if that's accurate. I can only speak for myself, and I think that it's important to articulate that journaling and writing poetry and songs and really just going through those steps has become such an important factor daily, multiple times a day, and having the writing group that I've discovered, the couple of people outside of the group who are also writers that are just willing to let me voice their work, is an honor. And as far back as I can remember, I've always enjoyed reading and writing poetry. Like, I mean, as far back as I can remember. Like, there was a talent show in 7th grade, 6th, 7th grade, I think, that I actually presented something via written word on stage. And I think everybody who was tap dancing and had, a legitimate, song they were performing or a dance group that they were performing with, we were very confused about who this lady was. Who this girl was in front of a class like it was like open mic night at a poetry slam. I Oh God, do I even remember? It was the poem that I presented was a poem about creating art. So it was about how you enjoy going through the motions and you can't wait to finish to get to the other side to see the executed work of, whatever medium is in front of you. And I'll have to go through my archives and see if that's something even worth finding. It was just one of my more fondly remembered moments of looking at my timeline as a small human and going, oh yeah, that's an Aaron moment, whoever that person was, whatever led up to that, that is an identifiable moment that I can relate to at 26, and I can still think about that moment and look back and laugh and be like, yep, I'm sure, that was this early formation of some of this that is in front of people. I I think that it's so fascinating that across languages and across socioeconomic barriers, like once people have the foundation of understanding, maybe a little bit of rhyme and figuring out the rhythm that they want to incorporate and a feeling that they're basing things off of, it's poetry can be such a wonderful way to slip somebody else's shoes on, and it transcends the walls of, to say that even with the Instagram medium that through the groups that I found, they it doesn't matter that it's not directly in front of you. Like things like that can sort of reach in through the phone, through the computer, and just grab hold of your heart and make you feel things. And I think that that's the biggest sin of. Excuse me. Let me elaborate further on that. Rewind the spool of tape and just say that it is such a sin to repress emotions. Like, yes, sit there and calculate and make sure you're not over dramatizing things to a detrimental point, or that you're not angry and going to hurt anyone, including yourself, in a drastic and sudden way, but to suppress and withhold information, or to never say something that's bothered you for years and years and years. I think that does something so tragic to your soul as a human being. And I think that that's just, it becomes cancerous to say, oh, it's just not something we talk about. Like, our family is just not like that. Like, oh, your family is not made of humans. Like, why wouldn't you share that information? Why would you withhold details that have bothered you or needlessly suffer because, oh, there's no point in bringing it up? Like, I can sort of, waving a white flag after you've brought something up a few times and you don't have a traction there, or you can't see a traction of a change, and it's not worth exerting yourself because been there. There are points where people feel like, oh, I've tried putting a marker there and it just feels like talking to a brick wall, time after time after time after time. And I think it's different to have tried to bring something up than it is to say, oh, that would be too awkward to ever talk about, or oh, how would they react, or oh, I've been playing the scenarios out in my head and every one of their possible responses is this, and like, well, hotshot, like, they have this whole different range of feelings than you might have, so you can't anticipate what somebody else's reaction is going to be and base your next series of actions on what you think they're going to do. I've been having some difficulty, even though I'm incredibly aware that I'm doing all the right things. My diet has been incredibly consistent. I've been exercising daily, multiple times a day. I can't help but feel that I'm still sort of stagnant. So I am looking into changes that I can possibly make, but there are some unique challenges in the category of, my space is limited. This camper is my recreational space, so where I can sit down at my desk and paint and do everything else, I don't necessarily have a dedicated workout space. Anything that I can utilize has to either go on a small weight rack or be put into a yoga bag at the end of the day and go into a corner. I have to be very, very conscious of that at all times. So, with still being laid off from work, I feel that I don't it's not a way to describe it other than that I don't feel that I deserve to spend money on myself in the same way. And that's something I've struggled with kind of throughout my life. I feel like everybody else is so much more deserving, and I will always prioritize everybody else, and sometimes to my detriment. All of my gym experiences up until this year were, Planet Fitness, kind of hit it and quit it gyms, just go as you're able to, as you think to, self-directed, whatever. What I loved about going to the bar downtown New Bedford was that there was that sense of real community, real, sisterhood, basically, in a way that I really enjoyed, really, really hungered after, because it really does help me when I'm in the school of fish sometimes. As self-directed as I can be for things that are intuitive, that's why I feel like I'm so drawn to the arts and everything theatrical, because it comes from within, whereas while I'm good at exercise, and while I feel like once I get on a track, it helps me feel significantly better to do things like that consistently, and it helps, everything. It helps my mental health, it helps people around me because I feel better. It helps me refill my cup, if you want to use that whole analogy of you can't pour from an empty cup, so you have to find ways to refill. Whereas my little tagline that I had come up with myself from years ago, back in 2014, that used to help me meditate and help me figure out how to describe myself. Sort of part of my elevator pitch before I knew what an elevator pitch was that I would describe myself to new people as kind of a creative waterfall, because when I get going, at my core, I really do enjoy writing, I really do enjoy painting, I really do enjoy singing and creating music, and I'm trying my best to think about ways to showcase that here without being so, oh my, look at me, I don't mean any of this in a full of myself type way, but I think that's what's become so important to me, to just searching for the words. I just mean that I think the opportunity to self-reflect and to put the time in to diversify and develop new self-directed opportunities for myself in the creative field, like being able to create my podcast and being able to create videos here for you guys. I enjoy doing makeup, and I enjoy doing I've always had a talent for these things, but I've always felt that they are so deeply a part of who I am that I haven't made space for them adequately before recently. Like, I'll just be like, oh yeah, no, that's just, you know, such a deep seated part of my heart and how I've learned to express myself best over the years, especially with reading and writing poetry. So that's why I hope my podcast will help bring my words and the words of my new friends to people who may not otherwise be experiencing them. I would like to say that because of the format in which podcasts take place, obviously they're just sound bites threaded together. There is the editing portion of that keeps me occupied. But I think that aspect can negatively impact my want to be in front of the camera. Like, I think that there is sort of a diverse, like a railway track director of like, okay, this way or that way. Like, do you feel good about yourself? Do you feel beautiful? Do you feel empowered enough to sit in front of a camera and share things face to face like I want to do more of here, like I want to get back to? Or do you feel like, your skin acne is so bad, and do you feel like, oh, maybe you you have those bags under your eyes and you really should to say that it might be feeding into my want to continue to shield myself because I don't necessarily feel good about myself physically, or as good as I want to feel. And then it gives me strength in a different way. I'm choosing my words carefully here. I know there's sort of an odd spacing going on. Because I do feel empowered, and it took me years to like my voice and to get to the point where even something like a podcast felt inaccessible. Like, I'm a woman who would have to record her voicemail message, 40 different times because none of them were adequate, or all of them sounded nasally, or, there's such an internal critique that is so severe that being able to put more of my own voice into my work, into the atmosphere and the greater multiverse that is the internet, is great, except that there is sort of a self-fulfilling issue where I go, oh, you already don't feel good, or oh, you're already not, you're not putting yourself together to look nice for YouTube today, so why don't you just, put pajamas on again or stay in pajamas all day because like no one's gonna notice anyway, or the stream of thoughts can be incredibly detrimental once you get to something so linear. And the truth is, I enjoy makeup. I don't know that I've always enjoyed it for the right reasons, because I think that too is a source of empowerment that came with time, because it went from, oh my god, these are these things that I need to cover up about myself, or I want to change so badly about myself. Like, I would put big bright blue eyeshadow on my eyelids because I wanted people to not notice, like, oh, my eyes are so dark and I wish I had this and I wish I had that. And now I have learned, like, I'll actually take a minute. I was really proud of yesterday's makeup. So I'm taking a minute to pull up on my phone. Like, I just did these big... Let's see if I can turn my brightness down. Make it look like... I can't quite make it out. It looked bomb.com. Like, it was just red lip, teal moment, and these big dramatic, kind of Arabic inspired, enormous cat eyes that I felt so empowered by. I was like, oh, look at, it's a wearable canvas to say you can transform yourself in a positive way, or say, like, this is how I'm feeling today, or this is how it sets the tone for the day, as opposed to being an oppressive thing. Other women, other humans find different things empowering. So I think there are days, or there are every person has a different baseline, and I think that's such an important factor in how you compliment them. Like, I tend to, because people have always noticed, I'm an attractive younger woman, and I feel like in certain clothing or in certain environments, like, people tend to catcall me, or whatever word you want to use to identify it. And because I'm so accustomed to it in a negative connotation, it's taken me a very long time to just say, on the occasion that I do receive a sincere remark that's like, oh, I really like your makeup, or I like the way you did your hair, like, I really like your undercut or something. Like, I think that there are parts of myself that I have modified. You know, take for example my undercut and my ear gauges. These are now officially at a 00, which is a 10 millimeter. And I think that there are reasons that I've gone into the non-traditional realm because I've been so exhausted of people telling me like, oh, I'm so beautiful, or like all I am is attractive, that I will do things that are not traditionally attractive in order to kind of counteract that. To say like, oh, if I put larger holes in my ears, less people will find me attractive, and then people will like leave me alone or won't give me the negative, the thing that I've always associated as being so negative. Like, then they'll be so uninterested in looking at my exterior that they'll actually like pay attention that there's, you know, a whole person and not just a mannequin. Excuse me. So I find myself walking a line frequently with things that I've always done and examining like, why are things always done that way? Like, why, you know, questioning things that are automatic. And I think it's important. I think it's very difficult to articulate. Because as someone who I tend to fit in best when things aren't I know how this may sound, but I truly feel in a lot of regards that because of the flimsy, insincere nature of some of the relationships that I've allowed myself to have before now at too young of an age, where like I hadn't had the time or the understanding to really delve into myself, and I was just doing things automatically and just continuing to concretely put my foot into the adult world of, making sure I started to immerse myself in college courses, making sure that I then had the opportunity to pay my way in the world and try and save for things. I was so determined to establish myself as an independent person that I wasn't capable of fully appreciating. So the most important part of this video to me is to explain part of the journey that I feel that I've been on throughout the bulk of this year. Just liking to sit up a little straighter there. And I'm doing this video because I think it will be important for other people who may currently be going through their own self-reflection, inventory, whatever you're comfortable using term-wise for it. This isn't really the video that I thought I would be assembling when I started to put my notes together, and I'm going to I'll have to figure out how to edit that video separate from this one, but I think this is significantly more important. I think there are things that are becoming more normal to talk about socially, and it's important that they do so. And in the spirit of saying that, I think that as a person with a platform who believes in that, this is my opportunity to branch in that direction. It's sort of that feeling when you look at a situation, any situation, and you say, oh, I hope somebody speaks up about that, or I hope somebody says something to them, or I really hope somebody is able to comfort that grieving person, or any sad situation, but doesn't take that step. Like, that person could be you. It doesn't have to be, oh, I hope somebody does something, because that's not worth terribly much. if it's not backed up by actions. Took a minute to plug my laptop in. I wish that I had started to think about this just a little bit sooner in the day. As you can see, I have my Clean and Clear moisturizer on, which you've seen in multiple videos. It's this one. It's just a dual action. Whatever. It's not important. That's not what this video is about. It's just a good tool in the toolbox. Anyway, this is my putting my money where my mouth is. I think that this is an extension of the serious video that I filmed earlier this year. Talking about my experiences with Planned Parenthood, which was not an easy video to film by any means, but it's again along the same lines. Of I would really like women who need to go through this to not feel as foreign and alone and challenged, and to feel like it's okay to talk about it, or just to validate, like, you're not the only person who is going through the emotional roller coaster. It has to become okay for people's feelings to evolve on certain things. And I think it's important to normalize changing your opinion once you've received different information, or you've done more of the harder research. Because finding information when you're not sure what to call it, or what to... I'm losing my words. It's becoming too broad of a sentence, and it's gonna start sounding like I'm on anarchy radio or something. A minute to put my thought together. So my intention with this video is to normalize in my small corner, normalize in my comment section, and hopefully among my followers, that it's alright to truly talk about how you're feeling and what you're experiencing and what you're going through, because I don't believe in suffocating yourself. I don't believe in stifling or having to change the tune that your heart is playing just because the room is full of different sounding instruments. I don't know, I hated that too, but The fact that I'm this incredibly very strange woman who happens to have a YouTube channel and happens to publish a wider array of things than I think. I don't know if that's fair enough to say, but a very wide array of different subject matters all along the digital graveyard here. You can see I've posted multiple nature hiking related videos. I've posted multitudes of just baking things and music things and gaming things, and kind of hoped that I would figure out how to get to where I would feel comfortable making any type of content and having some sort of faith that it would be like, oh yeah, okay, let's watch this random thing we wouldn't otherwise be watching because maybe Erin will make this one entertaining, or maybe, the idea that somebody might or might not watch something simply because I'm the presenter, or might have new information based on, like, I watched this crazy lady's video, here, check it out, like, whatever version of that continues to go on is still so abnormal to me, and still so, it's empowering, but I'm not accustomed to it. So it's just a little bit dumbfounding to think like, oh my goodness, I'm potentially informing people of things, and I want to use my powers for good, whatever small way I might be capable of. So I want to do the right types of displays of information and be as accurate as I'm capable of being at any given time, and to do all of those things while still entertaining a wider variety of viewers, which, again, as I just described, it's something that I've sort of cultivated because I have so many subcategories and multitudes of interests to then continue putting more spinning plates in the air and to keep the spinning plates that are in the air spinning while adding other information. I hope to do right. And I think I have so much gratitude for each and every individual view, for anybody who watches for more than, 3 seconds and is able to give me some type of, time out of their day who might not otherwise have done so, and give me the opportunity to introduce them to new art, new information, new concepts that they may not otherwise have been experiencing because I'm a YouTube creator. I think that that's just so wonderful, and I'm so grateful for that every minute of the day. So once I get to the point where hopefully someday, I can present to you different things, different sponsor videos. I will never forget that there was a time where I had, even 3 subscribers, and to say that a year ago I never believed I would get to the point where I had 1,000 views, or multiple shares, or whatever amount of likes on a video. Like, that was so far from, it was so far removed from what I was interested in. I just wanted to have a place to create, because frequently I feel like if I don't have artistic friendly spaces that I'm capable of contributing to, then I feel that I might explode or implode or something terrible to so I'm proud of what I've created here, and that being said, I don't take any of it for granted. I don't take a single watch or like or comment, positive comment, for granted. I am honored to be here with you through the absurdity that's going on in the universe right now. I think we each, as human beings, to say that there's so much going on so globally, and to also acknowledge, I don't feel comfortable saying particular stories, but there are some things that have gone in within, amongst my relatives and amongst, people very close to me, and to not be able to be physically there with them and to physically have the same types of close interactions that we might have otherwise. How do you rationalize 6 feet of distance, or all of the other things? How do you do that? Like, your brain understands what needs to be done because there's a global situation happening, but there's such a difficulty in getting your emotional well-being on that same thought track. And as we prepare for we have a family wedding to attend quite soon. It should be, it's actually 20 days from now. And it's also the first wedding anniversary of someone who I love dearly very soon. How do you prepare for new celebrations, upcoming celebrations, honor things that have gone on in past calendar years, things that are enormously important, or, anniversaries, birthdays, and continue to, it's a lot. So to say globally there's a pandemic on, and globally there's been a mishandling of it, and it doesn't do any good to sit here and say, so and so or anybody else would have handled it better. Whether that's true or not is irrelevant. It's the situation that we are dealing with is ongoing and has at different stages been mishandled. And as we learn to move forward as a planet, we need to also figure out how we are going to move forward as a nation, as an individual state within that nation, and to go from, oh my goodness, this global catastrophe has occurred, or the time that it takes for the understanding to sink in of there's a new illness, and what does that mean, and how do we get to where we're going, and how does it correlate? Like, there are so many immediate questions that people have, at the same time, to say we don't know, and when we do know, we'll update you, we hope. And just collectively waiting for one outlet or another outlet. It's all a lot to think about. So when you then say, okay, this is a situation where, because of the nature of this highly contagious illness, we now need for who knows, but we need for non-essential people who are in non-essential industries to park it, basically. I'm parked, just waiting for the wedding industry or any other industry to want me someday, when they're able to, when they can afford to hire someone. That is further isolating, because then you don't have the community of your coworkers in the same sense that you would have otherwise had them. Hey everybody. Things are gonna look just a little bit different today. For starters, this is not a makeup video. I wanted to come back and say hello and do some housekeeping. Kind of talk about my different video ideas I've had coming up. There's what's going on outside is going to be the ambiance for the video. There's just some end of summer festivities. Festivities not in the traditional sense, of course, because nothing is normal. But that doesn't really prevent people from, still riding around on their motorcycles by themselves at, 11 at night. I just had to check the time. Setting off their own personal fireworks, and just gonna make the video a little more colorful. I was doing really well in terms of uploading until about 3 weeks ago, I think was my last upload. And I started moving to a different project. I recently started a podcast, and I haven't officially announced it because I'm still working on ads. I'm working on a podcast based off my Instagram handle, if you follow me there. It is Technicolor Kaleidoscope, all one word. And the goal of that podcast is to showcase some of my own pieces of poetry that I've written, as well as uplift some of my newer friends that I've made. Writing daily has really been helping get me through quarantine, and I kind of should have known that sooner. I guess with 8 months, whatever we're going on now for quarantine, you have to leave some things to discover. But yeah, so that's been getting me through. I've really enjoyed pieces, and I've